Welcome to the warm-up show on the Tuesday night, January 3rd, 2023. This is the co-host, Coach Franchise, directly for the beautiful country of Thailand. We have to go all the way to Toronto for the co-host, Mr. ENORTAP. Welcome back in the house on the beautiful Tuesday night.
Good evening, Coach. Good evening, Hockey Nation. You guys are all ready for the 11 games tonight?
11 game on the program tonight after only 2 games, honestly, last night, so it'll be a good chance. Plus Montreal play tonight. We have a lot of great news, a lot of news to talk about, honestly, before we talk about the 11 game. First of all, Mr. Natap, right away, I think it would be important to mention this prayer, a thought for the family and, for, of course, the football player, Damar Hamlin, with a very bad incident happening last night. And that's, I think, that's show to us the sport is one thing, but the human being is the most important things. And I think show how hard it is to play in NFL to any other sport. I think we don't. It's not about how much money they make money. You know, it's a player they show up every night with a game, and then they give their body for the team, for the fans, and for something they have a passion about this. But the risk of the life is always on every snap, and that's happening yesterday. Unfortunately, we don't want to see this. And like I said, the prayer for the players and for the family.
Yeah, well put, Coach. You know what? Definitely all prayers and good wishes that Hamlin comes through this. Right now, things are not looking great from a lot of the stories that I've been digging into. But you never know, right? Sometimes miracles do happen, and hopefully something positive comes out of this for him, and you know, he lives to tell about it in the future. But you're right. Yesterday just showed how important human life is and how quickly it can be taken away from us at any moment, any time.
Yep. Absolutely right about that. It's like, you know, that for me, like it can be you and me and anybody else in the chat right now can cross the street to get hit. It's the same way, right? Like you leave the home, everything is fine. And, you know, he played 2 years in the NFL, everything is fine. It's just a normal hit. It's not like a really bad hit, or you can have some kind of doubt about could have an injury, right? It's just like the failure of the system of his body make what happening yesterday, and that's sadness about behind everything like that. So hopefully, you know, recovery for him, and we don't know the future, but hopefully, like you said, miracle happen, and we'll hope the best for his the rest of his life. For sure, but we have a few people knock the door, Mr. Nata. We have to go to Taiwan to find our friend Jeffrey Corey just knocked the door. Welcome back, Mr. Jeffrey. Thanks to be with the Hockey Nation.
Hey, Jeffrey. Welcome on board.
And then we have our friend Jamo Vartanen knock the door. Welcome from Jersey, from Finland. Try to recover from the loss of the Finland against Sweden, Mr. Natap.
Welcome, Jamo. Boy.
Thanks for being there. Our friend Randy N. Welcome. Happy New Year, Randy. Thanks to be with the Hockey Nation show.
How's it going, Randy?
Our friend Melissa Zabran, welcome back. I don't know if she's still in Michigan or somewhere, but welcome back. Thanks to be with the Hockey Nation show, the warm-up show.
I think she moved to Florida now, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, she's back now in
welcome,
Florida.
Melissa.
All right.
That's what I think she said.
All right. Back in the Florida State, Rand Cook, welcome back. Happy New Year, Rand. Thanks to be with us.
Welcome.
We'll call him the Double J, Mr. Natap, back from downtown Toronto. Your neighbor. Welcome back with Happy New Year.
We missed you yesterday, Jay. Welcome aboard.
From Ottawa, number 1 fan for Senator and the Montreal Canadian, the Hockey Nation show, Mr. Vinny James 007.
How's it going, Vinny?
And our friend, welcome back for the first time in 2023. He came a couple of times, Mr. Brandon Whiteman. Welcome back.
Hey, Braden. How's it going?
Thanks to be with us. Happy New Year, Brandon. Thanks for having you aboard Then you have a couple of comments about what happening yesterday. Ron with King from Utah. Welcome back, Ron. Thanks to be with us. Moderator.
Welcome, Ron. Welcome aboard.
Austin, they need to investigation do what drug were in the system. I don't know, Austin. I don't think so. That's the right thing
Yeah.
said about that one over there. You don't know about different thing happening, and that's something you have to follow up about this with some kind of the statement after they realized what was wrong with the situation about his body, fail about that. And, those players already follow treatment is on top by the drugs, everything on that program they face on those, but also the coaching, the coaching they have before the season, and they have to be in top shape and to evaluate all the time. Them, so it'll be interesting to see what will be the outcome of that. Is a problem, heart problem they knew before that, or something like that.
No,
Or maybe they think,
absolutely. I mean,
well, he is in the house, Mister
again,
Natap. He's in the house.
who's that?
He's back, but not with group. But he's back with Dan Ogilvy. Welcome back.
Welcome, Dan.
Yamo want to forget about the game yesterday. Here we
I'm
go.
sure he does.
It was a great news for everybody. Mr. William McClary knocked the door. Welcome back, Mr. William.
How's it going, William? Great game indeed.
He talked about the junior last game. We all got a freebie because we picked 0-2, but the record is 1-2. Yeah, you got the game for Boston 2-1, Yamo. Congratulations about that one. At least save a little bit. You put your day better. That's
Reputation.
the way we can see that about that. And our friend Mr. Joseph Laham back in the house, smiling with the Devils.
How's it going, Joseph?
And that's what we got right now in the chat, Mr. Natap. People knock the door. Don't forget to click on the likes. Let's start it right away, Mr. Natap. We have a lot of conversation to do. We have 11 games. Randy Walkman knocked the door. Thanks so much. Welcome
going,
back
Randy?
in the house. And we'll see what happens. We estimate know a drug that we have a system that's taking a lot of the people license. Julie Thibodeau back in the house. Hi, coach. Go Habs. Thanks so much, Julie, to stop by. Thanks to be the
Julie,
warm-up
welcome.
show tonight. So that's another person. Knock the door. Mr. Vazep, what pay you attention the last 24 hours on everything?
Well, everything seems to be trumped by obviously the Hamlin situation, Coach. I mean that was top and foremost on the global basis, I would say, not just the sporting world. But if we do look at that aside, we do look at some games that were going on yesterday. The biggest one for me was the Canada Slovakia game. Turned out to be a very exciting game. I thought, for the first half, I thought really Canada carried most of the play, but you got to give credit to the Slovakian team because they had no give up in them. They just kept going at it. They had nothing to lose and everything to gain, and they gave it everything that they had. They just went right at Canada. And if it weren't for the fact that it's not that Canada played a poor game, especially in the second half. I thought that you look at the shots, we definitely outshot them by I think a 30 shot margin is somewhere around 57-27 if I recall correctly. But the goaltending was superb on both ends, especially with. I think it's Galan, the goalie for Slovakia. And, what more can you say about Connor Bedard? Like, just he was sensational in my eyes the entire evening. But that move that play that he made at the end there, where he just decided, let's go right to the net. Let's end this right now, and he did. It was just a fantastic rush, and it just shows you, to me, like when I looked at this coach, like many years, you see very good players come up in the draft, and very few times do you see guys that you just look at and you say, oh my God, this is a generational player, and I think this is what's in store for him if all goes well. So, whoever ends up getting him is going to have a great player on their hands.
Yeah, of course. The key is to see what is going to be. Is it like a super elite player or an elite plus example? Is it like a Jack Eichel plus or Jack Hughes plus, or he can become a Connor McDavid? That's going. The time will tell us when he's going to be in the NHL. But those kind of players like Connor Bedard flourish always at the right time. What you see the big goal, like the Mario Lemieux goal, the Wayne Gretzky
Yes,
goal, and
yes,
those those situation where they elevate the game, the greatness, right? We talk about greatness. To remember that goal forever. That's happening with Connor Bedard. That's kind of player they are. When you are that the play they play every single time they are on the ice. So you can see a Connor Bedard show, and I can talk all the record he beat with a 15 goal he scored yesterday on this 15 game. 32 point
yeah,
now, and he's just continues 16 goals so far, 18 assists, 34 point. Um, Unbelievable. You think about this at one tournament, just crazy about that. So, congratulations for Nick for Connor Bedard at Team Canada. I think we have to, a game like that, Mr. Natap, like people say, yeah, but Canada do this, Canada. You cannot focusing on the negative thing.
no, no,
Both team gave everything. The Slovakia did an amazing, great job against the Team Canada. I think that's the kind of the game we're going to remember in 1975 between the USA and Russia and Montreal Canadiens. We still remember that game, and that's at that kind of level. But again, that's a kind of game happening yesterday between two teams. They gave their heart, their body, do everything from one side to another side. The goaltender for the Slovakia faced over 55 shots yesterday. It was unbelievable. It was the
57.
reason
Yeah,
why the game it went to overtime without his performance. And I can go all the way like that. So, overall, this was the game of the day and the game of the year so far. Maybe it's going to become the goal of the year already. And Jury second, Mr. Natap, the goal of Connor Bedard is going to be a little bit the same way we did about the Mason McNavish last August when he saved the goal against Finland before the score after that. I remember the goal of Jordan Eberle many years ago for Team Canada. Those kind of goals you're going to remember all the time, like Paul Anderson with Team Canada, 1972. I can go all the way like that. Mario Lemieux just talk
yeah.
about that goal. So, really interesting. But before we start, we want to move on. We want to welcome Rick Bengal is in the house. Welcome back from
Hey, Rick,
Halifax.
welcome.
Thanks to be with us. And then you have NHL. Welcome aboard, NHL from Connecticut. Great channel. If you have a chance to watch any channel, NHL Hockey News Report.
Welcome, NHL.
Thank you so much to be with us. RJ Calabro, back in the house, Mr. Naftap.
How's it going, RJ?
Thank you so much. Randy N
Hey,
is welcome back. Steve G, I was looking for him. And Steve G from Denver is back in the house, Mr. Naftap. About
thank
this.
you.
And then we
Welcome,
have
welcome.
someone talk about this. I think Dan Ogilvy talk about this. Is it now become a tank for many teams in the top? Do you believe you feel like now they're going to targeting to tank?
I don't think it's something consciously that is done. I think that they have things in place that make it an organic tank, and we're starting to see that with many of the teams. Like
I
you can
want to
pretty much,
sorry
yeah.
before
Go ahead.
you continue your point. I think you have a great point. Tank is not significant to tank to finish last. Like tank to be a chance to be at the lottery to win the lottery. Does it make sense?
Yes,
Like you can
yes,
be
yes,
14,
absolutely.
but you want to get 10 or 9 to be in the part of the lottery at the end. Does it make sense? Like that's what I'm thinking. Like,
Absolutely.
it's not like a finish from one go there. So I just want to sharing with you before you talk.
No, and that's a very good distinction. I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, because with the exception of maybe three or four teams that are aiming to be in the bottom three, because we know that if I'm not mistaken, if you're in the bottom three, you cannot drop more than two positions. So, even if they don't get Connor Bedard, whoever that might be in the lottery, you're getting an excellent, probably elite player, whether it's Fantilli, whether it's Dvorsky, um, you're going to get an excellent player, Michkov, of course, Bedard. So there are those teams that I think will not overdo it to try to get any higher, if you know what I mean. And then you're absolutely right. There's the other teams that just want an opportunity to be in the mix there in the top in the bottom 10 so that they could land. You never know how that ball's gonna come out, right? It could always come out in your favor, and that's all you really need here. It's an opportunity to be in there. When you look at the fact that even you finish last, I think your percentage is only like 18.5% of landing that number one pick anyways. So it's not great odds. It's better than everybody else, but it's 18.5%. And then I think second, I think is around 13.5. And then it just goes down by a couple points each time. So you just want to be in the mix. And I think you're going to see sellers be sellers at trade deadline time. And the thing that would make it even more compelling for Montreal, obviously, is the more teams are fighting, especially in the West, to try to get that last wild card position or the last two. The more teams are in the mix right up until early March, the better it is for the teams that are selling, because you're going to probably get teams that are desperate and give you more than what they should for the player that you are offering, and that's what you want to do. And I think that's what Hughes wants to accomplish, is to get that third number one pick. Whether he'll get it, we don't know. But I would think more yes than no.
Yeah, you're absolutely about that. Where some people knock the door. Ellen Keeve for Newfoundland. She's back. Thank for the Montreal
Hey,
Canadian.
welcome.
Roland, welcome back for British Columbia. Welcome aboard. Thanks to be with us tonight. We have Pierre Martin dans la belle province de Québec. Pierre Martin, welcome back in the house. Our friend from Quebec, Mr. Renaud, Mr. ENORTAP, knocked the door.
Hey,
Thanks
Renaud.
so much about this. He said, Coach ENORTAP looking like a 2K start tonight. We are ready for 2023. About that, we have our friend, I think it's the first time, I don't know, Brady W opinion. Here we go. So thanks so much for your
Welcome,
opinion.
Brady.
Thank you so much for the statement. Thank you to be a part of the warm-up show about this. But I'll ask to go to an American team, or Batman will intervene. I don't think so. Batman, like I mentioned before, would do
No.
anything about that one over there. But when you talk about that way, you said a bit earlier, I think for the Montreal Canadiens, the worst case, not the worst case, of course, is to get two pick at the top 10 at the end of the NHL draft. But Montreal can slip between the top four. That would be the most important thing for Montreal Canadiens. They cannot be 5,
Yeah.
7, 6, 8. They have to be one of the top four. You talk about four specific amazing player on the draft. You talk about Carlson, Fantilli, Michkov, and Bedard. Of course, the cherry on the cake is honestly Bedard. But at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for. And when we talk about a team tanking, I'm not talking about like only Chicago. I'm talking about St. Louis. They lost now O'Reilly and Tarasenko. What are they going to do now for the next 6 weeks? Are they going to go to seller, or then sell those kind of players to drop a little bit more in the ranking of the playoff, to possibility to be out of the playoff every time that? The Vancouver Canucks, what are they going to do with Bo Horvat and maybe Brock Bozer over there? That's another pushing they can do. What about Arizona? They say, yeah, we have an easy schedule, but we want to be sure we stay at the bottom 5 over there. They can trade Jacob Chikran, possibly Clayton Keller if they want to. So some team going to take those kind of decision the next couple of weeks to figure out for the traded line. I think the Panthers is on the team right now, and the next 4 weeks where they're going to figure out at the end of the January where they're going to be, and then possibly they trade Anthony Sclair or Patrick Orvis or someone inside the team because they have problem with the salary cap, but both of them are coming back in January. So those team, like I mentioned to you, the middle, not at the bottom, right? Are going to take a decision. For the Montreal Canadiens, of course, the trade line is going to be possibly they trade Sean Monahan, and then the rest, the Dadonov, Drouin, we'll see if they can go somewhere. but I don't think so. It's going to be a major for Montreal, other than the fact Sean Monahan. They can get that, they can trade him over there. So, because this year, Mr. Notaire, we have a lot of big name on the market at the trade deadline. The fact like the Chicago, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taze, Bo Horvat, Rand O'Reilly, they have a lot of defensemen people, so they can trade for Jordan Manson. They have a lot of defensemen on the market, like I just mentioned, Chick Ron, Kavrikov for the
Yeah.
Columbus Blue Jacket are another one over there. GVR for the Flyers, maybe can be traded at the deadline with money retaining, and I can go like 25 players like that. So we'll be interesting what's going to turn around this turn out for the next couple of weeks, the trade deadline. But many teams are thinking now to tank for a better. For sure about this. We have a few people knock the door,
Yeah.
Mr. Natap. We have THG is in the house.
Welcome.
The goaltender, the Slovakia play over his head. You're absolutely right about this. They have to. He was unbelievable between the pipe. We have a couple of conversation inside of this one over there. And then, coach, is the trade for Hoffman for Wolf going to happen? I don't know. You have to ask her to fly the flame about this one
For
over there.
sure. For sure.
Toronto can assign stock and a go get ready. I'll be surprised. Yeah, Jeffrey said Toronto cannot do it. I'm going to open the door here. I'll talk a little bit later. We have no time tonight. Toronto is looking for one specific player in the NHL, Mr. Natap. Timo Meier.
You think so?
This is starting to talk a little bit more. So Toronto is going to make a splash right there. I expect that Toronto make a bigger splash what we expect for the trade. Because the problem they got the last couple of years, Mr. Natap, he was always missing one goal, one thing. To add additional players like Timo Meier at the end, it'll be maybe it's fun for Toronto. Toronto is going to make a big splash. It's a team right now already in the top 5, and they're going to make a trade to get something bigger. And they say, you know what, we have to let it go the first round pick, and we have to go to try to get that W, that Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility, and it would be quite a splash for sure. Because I mean, he's still relatively young too, so you have him for the long run as well. I mean, another name for me that I think is quite plausible would be Jonathan Taze. I mean, if you put him on that third line for the Leafs, this is a guy that has the experience. He's got great face-off winning percentages, and that's what they need is possession of the puck, and it would go a long way in helping the Leafs.
The problem with that one is like, what are you going to do with him after that?
Well, it doesn't matter. Like I think the key for Toronto is this year. You can't have another year that they replicate what they've done in the last 3 or 4. So if they're going to make a splash, it's because they're thinking we're all in this year, kind of like what Florida did last year, right?
Yeah, but
Like,
here's the problem with Jonathan Taze and Patrick Kane on the top. You talk about Claude Giroux, right?
yeah,
Here's the problem Chicago Blackhawks face right now. Giroux said to the Flyers, wait a minute, I only want to go to the Panthers. I don't want to go nowhere.
right.
Right? So what
Yeah,
happening?
and
Flyers could not ask a first round pick, cannot ask them their best prospect. Their hand was completely tied.
tied,
Same thing
yeah.
with Jonathan Taze. Taze will say, no, I want to go to Colorado only, and that's it, that's all. And that would be now helping Colorado because now they don't have to give them too much in return. And that's the only problem with Jonathan Taze and Patrick Kane. One, the two players have the close, like no close, like they can select where they want to go. That will be the biggest problem for them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know Timo Meier has also a no trade clause as well, or
Is a top
maybe
16, I
it's
think, with 16.
top. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Whatever the team is not on his
but
list, right? Example, like he did not
yeah,
put
yeah,
Toronto, but he can negotiate. So now I want to go to Toronto. Now he can open
absolutely,
up about that one
yes,
over there. So
yeah, and that's the point I was going to make is even if a team is not on your list, if you see that they have the opportunity to go far in the playoffs and possibly win the cup, why wouldn't you take that chance?
Yeah, absolutely about this. Really, a quick note about the Window Classic yesterday, Mr. Natap, about the game and
Nice
maybe
game.
the Jake DeBrusque.
Yeah, I mean, he had both goals, but both very good goals that he scored. I like what I'm seeing from DeBrusque this year. You remember last year this time, he was. It looked like he was on his way out of Boston. He's very discouraged and disappointed with the ice time that he was not getting in Boston. But you know what? Things have worked out really, really well for him, and he completes that team. I've seen his game elevate to a different level this year. So great retention of his contract there.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's a team you want to almost give up. Sometimes the best trade is the one you don't do right,
You
and that's
don't
the
do,
one thing I was
yeah.
said to think about this. Another thing you see things about that a team faced to some kind of player request or player have some problem, anything like that. You have two ways. You can trade it, trade your problem, or you can find a solution for your problem. That's what the Boston did. They find a solution to the problem, and they want to give a 14 overall pick when they took him, and then they believe on him, and that's turned around to be a great for Jake DeBrusque for the rest of the team for Boston Bruins. So I just want to mention
Could you
about the
could you
window.
imagine, Coach, many years ago, if the Montreal management had taken that approach with Patrick Roy and not just said, "Okay, you're gone," the next day, not even 24 hours, he's out of the system, and I think it set Montreal behind many years, that
Yeah,
trade.
Jeffrey talk about the compared to Toronto, the Tampa and the Boston, the third line, four line. Go, Jeffrey, to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Go get the four line right now. The third line, it's not pretty over there like it was before. In the past, I would said yes, but now we have Maroon, Belmar, and Perry, and Nemestikov over there. And that's not give you a lot at the end of the day compared to what was
It's not
before.
bad. It's not
It's
bad though.
but it's not like he was in the past. And that's
Yes,
the
yes.
problem you're going to get with the team this season at the playoff right now, Tampa Bay. They have to figure out something else because when you have Corey Perry playing on the third line, Mr. Natap, that's the biggest problem you have right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So the Boston are more have more tools in their toolbox compared to any other team. That's the reason they perform very well. And the same thing with Carolina Hurricane. I think we don't consider enough the top bottom six and add something in the Toronto that we're helping them for sure for the playoff about that. And they have a lot of people in the chat talking each other about Toronto, everything like that. We appreciate everybody. So that we almost hit the 30 and we have to move on to the next thing. I want to share with you the lineup change and tonight, Columbus Blue Jacket, welcome back, Patrick Laney, Montreal, Anthony Richard, David
Good.
Savard, Edmonton, Leon Trossard back in the lineup, Mr. Natap. Toronto, welcome back, Ramis Sandin, and Ottawa, Backstrom is back in the lineup tonight for them. We have a game decision. Only one player is going to be decided before the game is the DJ Oshie for the Capitals, Washington Capitals. The finale, who is out tonight, Joel Armia, Kovacevic for Nashville Fabro. So that brings us to give you the little bit information about the preview Montreal Canadian. You're going to give us a little bit more information later. Savard is returned. Montembeault between the pike. Kovacevic and Armia finale is out. Richard is in. That was talking about this before there was the time to do that, Mr. ENORTAP, and see what happening for this.
I- Interesting thing there, Coach. Is the decision to put Richard in, was that made today? Because they were thinking of having Armia in the lineup, right? Which I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad that it's
So
Richard in
for
there.
what
But
I heard for the press conference, they put like look like Armia is out and they put him back.
good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah, so that will be helping Montreal with David Savard as the defenseman for that one over there. So that's what we got here. Do I have something else I want to mention to you? We got the winter, we got the app, the winter time right there. And that's pretty much what we got. I don't want to go a little bit deeper, Mr. Top. I don't know. I know you have the boss. Do we do the boss or not when we have only 3 game or 2 game?
Of course we do. Of course, the Bustles always celebrated. We just don't have jail.
Okay, so that's the reason we have we don't have no jet, but we have the bus. So the bus are, I
Right,
believe, you
right.
are one of them with Richard Molin, I think, and Peter August, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
All right, let's put them in the bus. Here we go. Congratulations for the people going to the bus. We don't have no jail, like Mr. Tap mentioned about this one over there. So that's happening yesterday. And we have 11 game on the program, Mr. Tap. We still good on the time. We welcome everybody. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes when you leave the building. That'd be appreciated. And we can talk more about things a bit later. And then let's move on for the game number 1 of the night, Mr. Tap. Here we go.
Oh boy. What can we say here, eh, Coach? Like,
Yep.
we want Florida to lose, but there's no denying that the Panthers are not looking anything like last year's President's Trophy winners. However, they still, you know what, they still have much more compete and some better players than the Coyotes do. Barkov is back healthy after getting to rest a little bit during the Christmas weekend, and he came out firing. Actually, in his first game back, he recorded that hat trick in the first period of that 7-2 rout over the Montreal Canadiens that we all saw, and you broadcasted it as well. Although the Panthers went on to lose their next 2 games, they were against some of the tougher teams in the East, like the Rangers and Carolina. But like I said earlier, they're not the same team that they were last year, not even close. I don't think this is a team that's going to be competing for the playoff spot when all is said and done. Arizona, you always have Carol Vamelka that could always steal games for you, and that's something to consider. But I think he keeps this game close, but Florida at home should win this. I'm going to go with a score of 4-3.
Florida. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit late about this one. 4-3. 4-2. So I'll go get to 4-3 for you, Mr. Tap. I'm glad you listened me. So 4-3 for the Florida Panthers, Mr. Tap. First
Okay.
game on the book, Mr. Tap.
Yeah, one of many here. Buffalo and Washington, the Sabres versus the Capitals tonight. And, it's about goal scoring, I think, in this game. And it's showcasing 2 of the probably better goal scorers in the league right now, in Tage Thompson and Alex Ovechkin. I mean, of course, Ovi has the Hall of Fame pedigree. Thompson is still very early on in his career. But right now, they're the 2 most dominating scorers that we're seeing. I'm only putting them in the same breath to explain my pick on what should prove to be, I think, a high-scoring game between these 2 tonight. First and foremost, the Sabres are going to be looking to get back to their usual selves after scoring just that single goal on Sunday. Even with that very rare occurrence, they're still averaging the most goals per game in the NHL, nearly 4.5 goals per game over the last month alone. The Caps, they have a strong defense for sure, but the absence of John Carlson kind of hurts them a little bit. But they're also slowly starting to get healthier now, and they did what they were supposed to do in my eyes, and that's just to hang around, until they got healthier and then they can make a push for a playoff spot. Either way, like the Sabres, they have the firepower to penetrate the defense of Washington for at least 2 or 3 goals. I would say, but what can you say about Washington as of late? Like they've been putting up a ton of goals. They're just outside of the bottom 10 in terms of goals allowed per game. And Washington just put 9 goals up against Montreal the other night, which was not pretty to see. They have 16 goals in their last 3 games, and I'm expecting both teams to find the back of the net early and often in this contest. So I'm going to go with Washington to win at home by a score of 4-3.
Washington 4-3 tonight, Mr. He said. I go with Buffalo 4-3.
Okay, we have
Yep.
one difference already.
Yep. Buffalo.
And I think we have Luukkonen against. I'm not sure about Kemper if he's
Quimper.
playing tonight. He is? Okay,
Yep.
which is not a good sign.
Yep.
Next, we have probably one of the games of the night, I would say, Carolina and the Rangers. The Hurricanes, they bring their 11-game win streak into Madison Square Gardens tonight after they defeated it in a shootout on New Year's Day, the Devils, by a score of 5-4. With that record that you see in front of you, 25, 6-6, and currently in first position in the Metro, the Hurricane continue to prove why they are a definite cup contender this year. But they've done this in the past as well. The key thing for them, it's funny because they're almost slightly advanced, but they're almost in the same situation as Toronto in that they have these promising years, regular season years, and then somewhere, I mean, the Leafs just haven't been able to get out of the first round, but Carolina, they themselves sometimes have faltered in the playoffs as of late. So we'll see if they have that extra talent this year, and I think they do, especially since they're going to be getting Pacioretty, which will be some welcomed scoring potential there. The goaltending tandem of the Hurricanes, like it's been just fantastic. They have a combined 20-3 record and a goals against of 238. The Hurricanes are, like I said, they're doing this right now all without Pacioretty in there. Aho's come back and he's picked up right where he left off. Going against the Rangers team tonight, that's also found a little bit of stride and umph in their game as well. I expect a tight matchup between these two and probably a low-scoring game. If I were a betting man, I'd probably take the under on this game. The Rangers, they're returning home after that 5-3 win against the Panthers on New Year's Day. They're currently in fourth in the Metro, and they're right in that middle hunt for those playoff spots right now. So every game is essential for both these teams, but more so the Rangers because of the fact that they're around the wild card right now. It comes down to goaltending in this one. I think we have Kochetkov against Shesterkin, and you know how I feel about Shesterkin. This guy can steal a game more than just one or two a night, a week. Like this guy is fantastic, and we're starting to see him come back into his last year of form as well. Just a couple interesting things here. The Hurricane are 8-0 in their last 8 versus a team with a winning record. And the Rangers are 4-1 in their last 5 games at home. So this smells like overtime to me. And in overtime, I'll put my money on Shesterkin. I'm going to go New York Rangers 3-2. And every streak has to come to an end. So maybe this is the night for Carolina to have their streak broken.
You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, c'est Columbus Blue Jackets going to stop the Carolina Hurricane, Mr. ENORTAP, after that. Not the New York Rangers, sir.
Not the New York Rangers. Okay, we'll see. Oh, boy. One of us is going to jail.
Here we go.
Oh boy, Columbus and Ottawa. Man, oh man, oh man. Columbus makes their 2023 debut tonight with a contest at the Canadian Tire Center. At least I think that's what it's called. Ottawa's home. There are two teams like who I think want to wipe away a lot of their performances from 2022 for different reasons, including not making the playoffs and having disappointing records in both years. The Senators, like they've already started off their year with that 3-1 nice 3-1 victory over the Buffalo Sabres. So now the Blue Jackets are looking to start off in that same fashion. I think having Laney come back is going to be a definite plus in their column. I think Columbus does have what it takes to win as major underdogs in this game. They ended their year with a 4-1 win against the Blackhawks, even though, it's the Blackhawks. It was an impressive win nonetheless. But the Blue Jackets are 0-6 in their last 6 games versus the um, not against Ottawa, but against the Atlantic Division teams. So I don't trust that too much. And Ottawa's at home, so I'm going to take Ottawa to win this one 4-2.
Ottawa. Oops, sorry.
And Corpusalo against Forsberg.
Yep.
So make sure
4-2.
you don't put in Talbot in your fantasy, coach.
Ottawa 5-2.
Ottawa 5-2.
Yep. I put Talbot.
Yeah, but he's not playing.
That's perfect. I don't lose point.
Okay, here we go. St. Louis and Toronto. The Blues' underwhelming season so far has taken yet another negative run or turn. With the injuries to O'Reilly and now Tarasenko, and they're not short term either. One of them was put on IR, and I think Tarasenko's out 6 weeks on top of that. St. Louis has struggled really to find any kind of consistency and any kind of success that they had last year. One of the things we really raved about last year, but when it came to St. Louis, was their depth and the fact that they had moments in their schedule last year when they had multiple injuries, and yet they didn't skip a beat because of their depth. They were able to next man up kind of attitude come in, and they would seal the victories for the team. They entered this game having dropped 4 out of their last 5 games, including a loss in overtime to Toronto. The Leafs, they're familiar with the Blues, having played them obviously just last week. This time around, they'll be hosting a St. Louis team that's even a little bit shallower in terms of the players that they're putting out there, and given the injuries that they've incurred. Familiarity combined with a deeper and overall better lineup, spells a major advantage to the Maple Leafs in this game. They've won 4 out of their last 5, and they've won 6 straight at home. The Leafs have. They're 8-3-1 in the month of December, and they've gone 19-4-4 since November 1st, which are impressive numbers if you look at it. So I like the Leafs in this one at home. I'm going to go with a score of 4-2.
4-2, Mr. Natap, for the Leaves. Tonight, I stuck with 5-2, Mr. Natap.
5-2, okay. Next
Yep.
we have
Mr. Rick Kane knocked the door, Mr. Natap. Denis Rodriguez knocked the
Rick.
door. Welcome, both of you. Thanks for your time. Yeah, Yamo, I got it. I saved it, by the way. I will show it next time. Winnipeg, Calgary.
Oh boy, this could be a good game too. It has the makings of a great game. The Flames, they're taking short one-game road trip as they travel to Winnipeg to play the Jets tonight. They've played some really good hockey as of late. They've won 5 in their last 7 games. They've outscored their opponents by a margin of 25-17 during that stretch. They're starting to get some, secondary scoring, which is good to see. Huberdeau's slowly coming into his own as well, which is yet another plus in their column. The Jets, on the other hand, in the last 5 games have not been as impressive. They've gone 2-3, but they faced some really tough opposition as well. So I'm willing to give them a bit of a mulligan on this. Um, they're still hanging on to second in the Central, um, and they've got to watch out because Minnesota's sort of barking at their chomping at the bit to jump on top of them. They're only 3 points behind, so the key thing here for me is the goaltending. Um, when you compare Markstrom with Hellebuck, who are the 2 anticipated goalies here tonight, I mean, Hellebuck's had a hell of a, no pun intended, year so far, and he's really kept them in games that sometimes they shouldn't have been in. And I'm starting to see that, once they get guys like, I think Ehlers back into the lineup, Perfetti back in there, uh, even though the defense hasn't been absolutely impenetrable, they've done the job and they've minimized those second opportunities that teams can get on Hellebuck. And so if you give them that opportunity, Hellebuck's going to beat you all day long. So now the Calgary Flames are 5-2 in their last 7 games, but they're only 2-4 in the last 6 games that they've played Winnipeg. So I'm going with the home team here as well. I'm going to go with Winnipeg by a score of 3-2.
3-2, MEILLEUR. Awesome. 5-3, MEILLEUR.
5-3. Okay. You surprised me there. I thought you were going to go Calgary.
No, I follow the master.
Oh, sure. And next we have probably, what can we say? When you look at this should be on paper the most lopsided game of the night, for obvious reasons. The Lightning are a very good team that's coming into form again, and the Blackhawks are, how shall we put this? They're a pretty bad team at this stage, and they're in the cellar in the NHL. Let's keep it at that. Chicago has 1 win in their last 13 games and 1 win in their last 10 games at home. It's not fun when you lose at that with that kind of proficiency. They score an average of 2.19 and allow an average of 3.75 goals per game. And that almost says it all right there. I mean, those averages rank first and fourth to last in the NHL. They tally the second least shots per game, but they allow the 6th most shots per game by their opposition. Their power play and penalty kill has been equally brutal. They rank 22nd and 24th, respectively, in those categories. For all intents and purposes, the Blackhawks have been pretty much a punching bag this season for some teams. The Lightning, they've gone 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they've really put some excellent games. They've strung some excellent games together. Chicago enters this game having been outscored 9-3 in their last 2 games, and by Columbus and San Jose of all teams. So they're not exactly juggernaut opponents for Tampa here. Um, I think, short of maybe Tampa treating this as a trap game or falling into, the proverbial, we're gonna look ahead of ourselves for the next game. I think Tampa should run away with this one, and it's Elliott against Stella. I'm going to take Tampa 5-1.
5-1, MEILLEUR.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Same.
Same thing. Okay. And brings us to Le Canadien against Nashville.
Yep.
So, we've now have entered the part of the season, regular season, where games start to mean a lot for obvious reasons, namely trying to get yourself best positioned going into the playoffs. But secondly, and probably more importantly, is just getting into the playoffs themselves, and then that's where Nashville sort of finds themselves. Montreal is in a slightly different situation, as we were talking about earlier. They're more in the Bedard sweepstakes rather than looking at a playoff spot. Nashville's kind of gotten their game back a little bit after some rocky games earlier on in the year, but they just haven't been themselves. I know they put a couple games together that makes them look like they're back into this thing, but then they come up with a couple stinkers as well. So, you know, they've lost, I think, 7 of their last 10, if I'm not mistaken. The Habs have lost 5 in a row. Doesn't look good any way you cut it, but I'm going to go with the fact that where I have seen some improvement from Nashville's perspective is the goaltending. Saros and even the defensemen have been a lot stauncher. They've been playing a lot better. They've only allowed goals against of 289 per game in their last 10 games, which in comparison to Montreal is um, remarkably better. And we have, I believe, Montalbo against Saros tonight. So I think it stays close for a little while, but Nashville ends up winning this one. I'm going to go with a score of 4-2.
Fortune is in Nashville. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Easy
And who's
so
next
far.
on our docket?
Easy
Ooh,
so far.
Seattle and Edmonton. Talk about must-win games, right? Breaking news.
Well, breaking news, Mr. Tap. I think we forgot to mention Peter August have a hat trick tonight. No?
Oh, did he? Yeah, I think you're right.
I know it's at only
He had,
3-0, but we have to give him credit for that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
him and Luciano and you have a free pass right now.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I might
So,
have to use it tonight.
so I
We'll
just want
see.
to sharing with you. That's breaking news.
Awesome, thank you, and congratulations, Peter
Yep,
and Luciano.
yep.
Next, we have Seattle, Edmonton. The Kraken start their 7-game road trip tonight in Edmonton after that 4-1 victory over the Islanders on New Year's Day. They're currently sitting in 4th in the Pacific. The Kraken are competing for a playoff spot in only their second year of existence. A huge reason for this is obviously the play by rookie Matty Beniers. I think he's really, has come in. He's gotten, I think, 25 points in 34, 35 games that they've played so far this year. But he's allowed other players to sort of play in their right positions, and he makes his line mates a lot better. This guy is going to be the real deal for sure in my eyes in the NHL. I like what I'm seeing. Martin Jones has also helped keep this team afloat. He's got a 15-5 record with a goals against of 296. But going against guys like McDavid and I believe Draisaitl, is he back tonight? Do you know,
Yes,
Coach?
yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder to keep these two guys, especially off the score sheet. I tell you, the Oilers. I like what I see, even though their positioning in the standings right now doesn't kind of indicate that they're currently in 4th in the Pacific. But I really believe that the loss of uh, Evander Kane to that injury has made a huge impact on the team. And if they can definitely get him back before the playoffs, and he's properly healed, then it's going to increase their probability of going as far as possible. I mean, to their credit, guys like Ryan Nugent Hopkins, um, Hyman, they've really stepped up and kind of filled in some of the gaps, but they need to be better defensively, and they can't rely just on. Right now it seems like Skinner has become the number one de facto goaltender for them, and that's good, but they just can't keep peppering them with the kind of shots that they have been so far. So they need more consistency defensively, and I think that that's one area that they are going to address at the trade deadline time. For tonight's game, huge impact. I like the fact that Edmonton is at home. Um, and I think that Edmonton lost the last game, and that was the end of McDavid's point streak. So he might come out and just start a new one tonight. So I'm taking the Oilers to win this one 4-2.
4-2 for Edmonton for Mr. ENORTAP. We have 4-3, Mr. ENORTAP.
4-3.
We want to welcome Andy Kuivula, Mr. ENORTAP.
Andy, how are you? And who do we have next? Oh, yes, of course, the Islanders and Vancouver. Should be an interesting game, to say the least. The Islanders, they continue their West Coast road trip as they traveled from Seattle to Vancouver for this. And they take on the Canucks after losing to the Kraken just a few nights ago. The Canucks, they come into this game having lost their past two. So this should be, a pretty good game between two teams aiming to get back on track and in the race, obviously, for playoff spot. The Islanders currently, I believe, are in. I think they have the second wild card right now, and Vancouver is about 5 points behind a spot or so. The Canucks, they've been inconsistent all year long. I really don't see an identity with this team when I see them playing. If somebody were to ask you, if you think of Vancouver, what do you think of in terms of what defines that team? And it's, I don't know, maybe for me, but I don't, nothing comes to mind. And that's a bit of a problem, because every team should have their own identity, whether it's defensive prowess, whether it's goaltending, whether it's having a great offense, whether it's having great specialty teams, whatever it is, being a gritty team and never giving up, that kind of stuff. But I don't see that at all with Vancouver. Demko and Spencer Martin have not really done the job. I think Martin at least has come in and given him some quality games. But when you put that against the fact that they're going up against Sorokin tonight, I think it's advantage Islanders in my eyes. The Islanders have led in this series over the last 10 head-to-head matches by a margin of 6-3-1. So I don't see why that would change tonight. I'm going to take the Islanders by a score of 4-2.
4-2, Mr. ENORTAP.
Yeah.
I go 4-3.
For Islanders?
Yeah, you changed my mind.
Was it the last thing I said?
Yeah.
About the 6-3-1?
No, you put Sorokin in the conversation.
Yes, of course. The possible Vezina.
Well, yeah, after that, you talk about Martin, and then so I just don't like Islanders to play one good game, one bad game, one good game, one bad. For me, I see them like a dollar star, like last season, 2 years ago.
I know, but we saw where Dallas went, though, right?
But my point is like they drop a lot right now for the last 4 weeks. Islander almost out of the playoff.
Yeah, almost. You're right. And our last game of the night is Dallas and LA. Should be a doozy as well. I believe it's Ottinger against Copley. They begin this matchup in crypto arena. Dallas is first in the Central. LA is second in the Pacific. Uh, but the season is still relatively young. We're almost at the halfway mark for most of these teams. So I think anything can happen in a game like this. I have to give the edge here to the Stars. They've just been much more dominant in over many teams than, let's say, the Kings have. The Kings are showing that inconsistency that you were just talking about, Coach. In my eyes, anyways, the Kings are still, um, you know, they're putting in some great efforts one night, and like I said, inconsistent the next night. So I don't think. Like when I looked at some of the stats that came up between these two teams, the home team has won each of the last four meetings. So that's advantage LA in this case. The Kings, they're 6-1 in their last 7 games versus the Western Conference. So advantage LA again. They're 4-1, the Kings are, in their last 5 versus a Central team. So again, advantage LA. The Kings are 4-1 in their last 5 home games. So advantage LA. And the Kings are 5-2 in their last 7 versus a team that's above 600. So again, advantage LA. Now, you're going to ask me, why did I take Dallas then? Well, tonight happens to be the dad's trip for Dallas. And so their dads are going to be in the audience for Dallas. And I think they're going to play that with a little bit extra umph here for their fathers, and they don't want to disappoint. So it might be a silly reason, but I think that'll be enough, an emotional factor, that Dallas wins this one by 4-3.
The hockey mom for the Canadian followed them for the last 3 games. They lost all 3. Just want to remind you of this.
So that's got to win too. That's got to go
But I
Dallas.
put Dallas for 3 just because of the goaltender.
Yeah, the goaltender is, I think, distinct advantage Dallas. Well, not distinct, because in all fairness, Copley's really, I think, has given them LA that opportunity to hang around here. And like I said, they're in second place, and had they had just Quick, I don't know if they'd be anywhere near that.
Yep, will be very interesting. 11 games to tap on the program tonight. What are you looking for tonight? There is something. By the way, Mr. Tap, for everybody, we have another show at 30 minutes tomorrow night. Team Canada play at 6:30, and we have only 3 games on the program tomorrow night. So 6 to 6:30 tomorrow night, Mr. Tap will be on the one about this one over there. And one thing I did not mention to you earlier, Mr. Tap, is sorry about that. What you said?
I said no jail tomorrow.
Yep, no jail. We start very slow with the NHL, Mr. Natap, at the beginning of the year. About this, I tried to get that news. I cannot get it, my news about this NHL year. I don't know what it's all about. I don't know where I put that news. Anyhow, Mr. Natap, the Jesus, I forgot. I put somewhere. I don't know what can. But the Detroit Red Wings put Vrana on the waiver list. I just want to mention this for everybody about that situation. And then St. Louis Blues, Tarasenko 4 weeks, O'Reilly for 6 weeks, I believe, are out for them. So this something really hurt them at the end of for the rest of the season, Mr. Tap. And then I want to mention to you, overtime occupant, Mr. Nathan. We're going to talk about this Thursday.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Yeah. So I just want to mention this. So you still have 2 more days to prepare for the occupant overtime.
To prepare for that. Okay, I got you. I still don't know what you mean by it, but okay.
So what are you looking for tonight, Mr. Nathan?
Well, I think the real game of interest for me here is going to be Carolina and the Rangers. I think you have two teams that have been playing very well lately. Carolina probably more so than the Rangers, but the game is more important for the Rangers in my eyes. And you got very good goaltending, very good defense. You got offense that two teams that can really close things down in a hurry. It should be an exciting game.
You're absolutely right about that. I will give you the team you cannot lose tonight: Ottawa, Florida, Calgary.
Tampa Bay.
Um, the Oilers cannot lose tonight.
Yeah, they can't lose. Yeah.
The Islanders cannot lose tonight. They are the team I would say they have to be sure they win because they still stay in the race. I want to leave you that way with them, Mr. Natap, but remember last season in January, the NHL Eastern Conference was already split like 8 best
Oh
team.
yeah.
It was over, right?
By
Right
the end
now,
of November.
yeah, but a little bit later. But right now, Islanders are 44 and Detroit 39. We already see 5-point difference from that part over there with 9 team. Do you still now we going to see this already? Like consider like Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, Florida never going to have a chance to reach the rest of the other 9 team.
Well, I mean, the Islanders. I think they're tied with Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah.
I still. I'm not buying. I'm not buying Pittsburgh. I'll be honest with you. I know they had a great streak, but lately we've been seeing them come down to earth a little bit. I think we're starting to see, and every time I say this, they start to do the opposite. But I think you're starting to see age catch up with them. So I think that there's one team that might slip off the radar there. Washington, I had them on the outside looking in at the beginning of the year, but I don't know. Now that they're going to get some healthy bodies back, like they're right now in third place in their division, so it's not a bad position to be in. They can only improve, and I think having that motivation of Ovechkin trying to get to his goal might just keep him in a good playoff spots. But looking at the other teams, coach, I don't know. I think you're going to see Ottawa. You're going to see Buffalo. You're going to see maybe even Detroit to a certain degree, and that's it. Those three teams will make a little bit of a run at some point. Buffalo has the most potential because they're the most explosive team offensively. But I worry about their goaltending and I worry about their defense to a lesser degree. But they should be out of it. But you're right; it's starting to close up for the East. The
I, I,
West
th-
is a different story.
I think for me, this will be, I don't see Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, Florida back in the race anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree too much with that statement. It would be nice if a couple teams can get into it just to keep the interest level going and but it's not going to
Yep.
probably happen.
Well, Mr. Nata, we
The West
passed the
will see
10,
quite a
10
battle.
minutes over 7 tonight. It would be great to, we did a lot of good show. We thanks everybody to be part of the show tonight. We have, back at 8 o'clock for the Montreal Canadiens again, the Nashville Predator. Will be interesting if Montreal can get that W before they come back home and they can celebrate with the mom. The mom all in the part of the trip. Happy birthday to Cole Caulfield, by the way. We forgot about him. And that's concluded, Mr. Natap.
Yes.
Anything we're going to join a little bit later about the next game. But before we leave, you are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. Here we go, Mr. Natap. The warm-up show number 2 of the 2023 is behind us. We'll be back tomorrow night, guys, for 30 minutes only, 6 to 6:30. We want to remind everybody, good luck for all the predictions for everybody. And hopefully you can jump in the bus and not jump in the jail. So everybody, Mr. Natap, thanks again for another great show. Until the next time, be well, be healthy. Find a winner, WWE, find a winner the latest year of what?
Your start of 2023.
He did it again. Have an amazing, great night, Mr. ENORTAP. I will see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.